welcome to the live session of Narayana IAS Academy. So the topic that we've actually picked up today is one of the most concerning topics by, where the state or the district of Wayanad in particular, it had actually faced a series of landslides which was triggered by heavy rainfall, and now a number of people have actually gone missing, and there were actually, widespread destruction as well as number of death tolls. The death has actually also been increased. So in this particular article, we'll be discussing about how rainfall has actually resulted in subsequent, triggering of the landslides and what have been the consequences, as well as what are the potential mitigation strategies that India should actually adopt in case of such geophysical phenomena. So in this particular article, this particular article actually has appeared in both The Hindu and the Indian Express, where 122 dead as landslides actually flattened the villages of Wayanad because of heavy rainfall, as I already told you. So here we'll be discussing about this particular concept of landslides, as it is an important part of disaster management. And also, we will actually map this particular topic to GS Paper 3, Disaster Management, Environmental Pollution and Degradation, and this is important for the mains examination in particular. And moving forward, if you see, there has been a previous year question in the year 2021 regarding the various causes as well as the effect of landslides, what have been the important components of the national, landslide risk management strategy, etc. So understanding about these geophysical phenomena, what are the types of it, the possible causes, the natural as well as the anthropological, as well as, under the NDMA Act, what are all the provisions that are actually mentioned in order to deal with these particular, phenomena like the landslides, earthquake, tsunami, etc. become very, very important for your mains examination, and particularly the causes and the consequence actually become very, very important for your prelims examination, because one such question was the weathering, what actually causes it, whether oxygen is present there, whether carbonic acid is actually the, product that is formed. So such question can be asked in your geography prelims as well. Now moving forward, let us actually understand what is this particular article discussing about, and then moving forward we will analyze what could have been the possible, causes for the landslides that had actually occurred in the district of Wayanad in the state of Kerala. So heavy rainfall in Kerala's Wayanad district had actually triggered a series of landslides, and this actually led to multiple deaths as well as widespread destruction, as I told you. And the exact number of death toll is also not been reported so far. So for the takeaway for the examination, as I already discussed with respect to the previous year question, here landslides actually becomes the important or the topic of focus. Okay, so what do you mean by landslide? A landslide is a mass movement of material, such as the material can be rock, it can be earth, that is the soil, or it can be a debris down a slope. So when there is mass movement of earth, that is the soil, the debris or the rocks down a sloping surface, this is actually called as a landslide. So this can actually be sudden, or it can move slowly also over a period of time. And if you see why this actually happens, when this particular force of gravity that actually pulls all these mass towards it, that actually exceeds the resisting forces of the slope, then what happens immediately, that results in the failure of this particular slope, and the landslide will actually occur. And external factors can also lead to landslides. Now let us actually see, if you see this particular just for the image, these are the different types of landslides. Okay, the first one, if you see, is a rotational landslide. So this is actually the rotational landslide, if you see over here, where the ground actually rotates and slides along a curved surface plane. So this is actually called as a rotational landslide. The second one is translational landslide. What does that mean? The ground actually slides with little rotation along a flat plane that is actually parallel to the surface. So this is called as the translational landslide. If you see the block slide, this is also a type of this particular translational landslide, where there is block movement of the materials, that is movement of materials in blocks, as you can actually see here, and when the material moves down slope, this is called as the block slide. The next one is actually rock fall, where the gravity actually sends the rocks and other materials tumbling down slope. Next is the topple, where you can see the cliff or the rock actually fall towards the large blocks, and this is called as the topple. The next one is the earth flow, where there is actually formation. This actually occurs on the moderate slopes when there is fine grained material with when it actually mixes with moisture, it liquefies and it actually flows down the slope in the form of hourglass shape. That is why it is called as earth flow. Next one is called as the lateral spread, where because of the earthquake or the shaking of the earth, there is actually spread, or there is the ground deformation that is associated with the ground shaking, that is called as the lateral spread, where the materials laterally spread on the surface of the earth. The next one is actually the debris flow, where there is rapid movement of mix of water, mud, trees as well as other materials which actually flow down the slope. Next with debris avalanche, which is an extremely large and fast moving debris flow. And finally it is actually the creep, where the soil and the surface material that slowly moves down a slope. So these are the different types of landslides. So now we've actually understood what landslides are, what kind of a geophysical phenomena it is, what are the different types of landslides. Now moving ahead, it is important for us to understand what are the causes. So causes of any geophysical phenomena are two. One is actually natural, the next one is anthropogenic. Okay, so natural includes heavy rainfall. When there is consistent or persistent amount of rainfall, this can actually trigger the landslides by increasing the pore water pressure within the soil. So within the soil, the pore water pressure actually increases, it becomes muddy, and here it actually leads to the failure of the slope. Next, there can be seismic activity. As I told you, earthquakes can cause landslides, and similarly snow melt can actually lead to the saturation of the soil, so that actually results in the landslides. And also because of volcanic eruption, because there is a huge deposition of volcanic ash, etc., and when that is actually subjected to intense rainfall, then what happens, there is actually washing away of these erosion and frequent debris flow, that is washing away of the debris flow that is actually triggered by intense rainfall, as you know. The next one is anthropogenic factors. These are very basic, we know. It is because of the removal of dense cover of vegetation or the forest from a particular, specifically the hilly areas, that will actually lead to it. Next is rapid urbanization, also with the motive of commercialization, and also there is unplanned construction. So this actually destabilizes the slopes and that will lead to landslides. Next one, mining activities. Of course, this actually breaks the integrity of the soil, that thereby increasing the landslide risk as well. As next one is the construction of the roads. Here what happens, there are different processes like blasting, digging, etc. So this also destabilizes and causes the failure of the slopes, resulting in landslides. So what could be the possible reasons that would have actually resulted in the consequent landslide events yesterday in Wayanad? One is because of continuous heavy rainfall because of the monsoon season, that would have actually softened the soil, making it unstable and prone to landslides. Next can be loss of forest cover, because the dense forests are actually converted for the plantation like tea, coffee, etc. So replacement of natural forest with plantation crops could have destabilized it, and that would have actually resulted in the failure of the slopes. Okay, and these plantation crops actually have a root system which cannot hold the soil intact, okay, firmly, as these forests and the trees can do. The next one is the climate change, as we all of us know, because sometimes there are dry spells and followed by erratic monsoons. That is because of persistent and heavy downpour, which actually results in landslides, flash floods, etc. So this is there. Then there is also human intervention, like we saw about the construction of roads as well as other infrastructure and deforestation. This could have actually caused instability to the soil. Now, there can also be lack of failure of implementation of the specialized committees which were actually constituted for solving this purpose, or for declaring, or you can say taking care of the preservation of this Western Ghats region. One committee was the Gadgil, next one is actually the Kasturi Rangan committee. So failure to enforce the recommendations of the Gadgil panel as well as the Kasturi Rangan committee to declare the Western Ghats itself as ecologically sensitive areas and restrict the harmful activities. Whereas the Gadgil committee said that declare 75% of the Western Ghats, around 1,30,000 square kilometers, as eco-sensitive areas, and the Kasturi Rangan actually brought that number down to 50%. Now, the failure or lack of implementation of the same could also be one of the reasons, because Kerala actually falls in this particular region. Next, if you look at, what you know about this particular Wayanad landslides, these are very, very, static. Here, the multiple landslides actually hit on the 30th of July 2024. It occurred around 2 a.m. on Tuesday, and over hundreds of people have been killed and a lot of people have been missing as well. And then we have two small towns specifically which are surrounded by hills and plantations that actually include the Churalmala, which is actually 4 kilometers away from that of the Mundakai. These, small towns which are tourist attractions as well, and several resorts were actually located over here. These were completely, or to an extent, actually washed away. Next, if you see, it is important to understand the landslide vulnerability of India, and also the landslide atlas had actually been recently be released. So you must be aware of this for the examination. So if you see the vulnerability, that is landslide vulnerability of India, about 13% of India's area, that is actually spread over 15 states and 4 union territories, is prone to landslides. So based on the incidence, this landslide zone is actually classified into 3. One is the northwestern Himalayas, next is the northeastern Himalayas, and then you will see it is actually the Western Ghats. So let us actually discuss one by one, and we will say, if you see northwestern Himalayas, there the percentage of incidence of landslides is the maximum, that is 66%. Here the western Himalayas actually include the regions of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim to an extent, and the northern parts of West Bengal. Okay, so this particular extent of north, and it is because of the young and the fragile geology of the Himalayas, which is coupled also with heavy rainfall and seismic activities. This makes the region extremely prone to the landslides. Next one, northeastern Himalayas, where the percentage of incidence is almost 19%, and here it includes all the 7 sisters like the Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, as well as Tripura. Here the reasons are high rainfall, there is steep slopes, as well as the seismic activity. This actually leads to frequent landslides over there. Next one is Western Ghats, where 15%, that is the Konkan coast besides the Nilgiris, that is these areas constitute, and the percentage of incidence is around 15%. Here it actually includes the states of Maharashtra, Goa, Kerala, Karnataka, as well as Tamil Nadu. Here the reasons are heavy monsoon rains and human activities like deforestation, construction of infrastructure, etc. And also in Nilgiris, it's due to heavy rainfall and the steep terrain of this particular region. If you see this particular map, this actually signifies the landslide inventory from 1998 to 2002, where here these yellow marked areas, these are the regions which are prone to landslides mostly. So here you can see the Western Ghats landslide province, and here you can see the northeastern Himalayan landslide, which includes states like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Sikkim, etc. Next one, Assam, then you have Mizoram, Meghalaya, etc. And here you have the northwestern Himalayan landslide province. So here we've actually discussed in detail about this particular topic of landslides and what is the vulnerability that India actually faces. So here what do we need to take away for the examination is understanding the geophysical phenomena and what India could do better with respect to that of disaster management in order to handle such catastrophes. So I hope you had actually liked this interactive session. So for more such live sessions, please do like, share and subscribe to Narayana IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.